Hey everybody, it's Vanilla. Welcome back to another video. Now, if you've been here before, you're probably thinking, hey Vanilla, didn't you just make a video like this a couple weeks ago? And yes, you'd be correct, but I can promise you that this video is going to be like that one, just better. In the last video, I had my previous victory stolen by a stupid metal ant, and I wasn't about to let that crush my dreams. Finn's a nice guy, but there was no way I was going to let him beat me again. I knew it was possible to make it to floor 100 using only dogs, cats, and other vaguely dog-cat shaped Pokemon. Now, would it be easier for me to just pick a team with perfect typing and maxed IVs and call it a day? Absolutely, but there are plenty of people doing it that way. Feel free to go watch them instead if that's what you're looking for. But YouTube thinks that you might like this video, so I'd like it if you stayed a while. The easy way is not what I'm about. Instead, I'm gonna pick pretty much all normal types and use move typing and luck to my advantage. Are there dogs and cats that aren't normal type? Sure, but tell me that Stoutland isn't the cutest Pokemon you've ever seen. Actually, don't do that because it might hurt my feelings. I would say that both Stoutland and Furfrou are the most dog-looking dog Pokemon ever, so I chose them as my starters. Well, maybe a bit more went into my selection than just that. I went over this in the last video, however, I strategically picked these two floofers. Strategy in a vanilla video? Someone take a picture, it'll definitely last longer. Anyway, Stoutland and Furfrou are both inherently fast, and I made sure to pick their natures accordingly. Speed is literally one of the most important stats in this game. I don't care what anyone says. It's pretty much that simple. You need to have control over each encounter, so it's super important to be able to go first as often as possible. The amount of times I've had a potential victory stolen from me by a Pokemon that was faster than me, and also had some sort of luck ability is unreal. Consistent failure forces us to either give up or adapt, and there was no way I was going to be defeated by a Thanksgiving turkey with insane luck. So how do we begin to solve this problem? Stoutland, the 4-foot, 135-pound pickup truck, aka literally the best Pokemon in this game. And if you want to fight me on that, feel free to. I'll be at the flagpole on the playground at 12. Be there or be square. So why is Stoutland my MVP? Stoutland is fast, has decent defense, and high attack. It's important to note that for a pure normal type like Stoutland, it's gotta have high physical defense. Special defense isn't going to do much since fighting type moves are going to be physical a majority of the time. Min-maxing number nerds may forget that IVs and EVs aren't the only factor that contribute to success. The moveset of the Pokemon is equally, if not more important than stats, and Stoutland's moves learned by leveling are pretty much all you need to sweep. My favorite combo is Play Rough, Crunch, and Retaliate. There's room for one more move to fill in with whatever you want. I kept Work Up for a majority of my longest run, but I eventually ended up replacing it with Ice Fang. But I wouldn't be able to do this with just one Pokemon, trust me, I tried. Keeping with the dog-cat theme, I chose Furfrou. The main thing that makes Furfrou a huge part of this is its ability. If you don't know, Furfrou has the ability Fur Coat, which is an ability that increases the defense stat of the Pokemon. Or rather, it decreases the amount of damage the Pokemon takes from physical type moves. That's the same thing, right? Anyway, just like Stoutland, I chose Furfrou because of its high attack and speed stats. I'm pretty sure one of the only moves I used on Furfrou was Headbutt, and that was for the flinch chance. Being able to go first and have a decent chance to stun? Yes please. Let's not forget about Bite, which was also another move to keep on any of the Pokemon on my team, since it countered Psychic and Ghost types. And let me tell you, the AI will have an absolute stroke trying to counter you with their Ghost types if your Pokemon are Normal type. They panic switch like crazy, all of the lights are on the dashboard, and they don't know what to do. My team also consisted of Ninetales, Ursaluna, Dubwool, and Donphan. If you squint really hard, they kinda look like dogs or cats. I really tried to stick to the theme, and it's not for a lack of trying, but you have to get creative when the game is shoving plants and humanoids at you. I'd say that Ursaluna looks a lot more like a dog than Throw, but maybe that's just me. Regardless, most of these Pokemon played a minimal role in my success. Ninetales had a useful TM that it learned, and that was Scorching Sands. It was one of the only ground-type moves I had until I acquired Ursaluna, so that was important when I ran across fire ground types. So I'm sure the whole reason why you're here is because of my title or thumbnail, and we're finally going to talk about the big question. How did I make it all the way to floor 140 with my room temp IQ? Well, my cheeky answer would be by using a team of mostly normal types that kind of look like dogs and cats, of course. But how did I do that exactly? Let's talk about my one and only struggle, countering fighting types. That's literally it. But it's not fighting type Pokemon. Stoutland and Furfrou are able to counter fighting types with the fairy move Play Rough. If you want to add a Pokemon like Dachshund to your team, that would be another good option to counter fighting types. I just chose not to add Fido because of the type weakness. Pokemon that are fighting type are an easily identifiable red flag, but you need to watch out for the Pokemon that aren't fighting type that can learn fighting type moves. You better remember that Bibarel can learn Superpower, or else you're going to be in for an unpleasant surprise. But to this I raise you, why does game knowledge matter when you can outspeed your opponent? Game knowledge tends to be my weakness in whatever game I play. I don't know, learning isn't really my strength. So something I didn't realize when I started playing this game is that you basically have two options at the start. You can either have a playthrough where you're focused on catching Pokemon, or you can have a playthrough that is dedicated to floor climbing. If you're looking to catch Pokemon for better IVs or collecting, then the types of items you're looking for are going to be a lot different. The mistake I made at the start of my journey was picking items that favored collecting Pokemon and powering up my Pokemon. If you're looking to climb, it's eventually going to catch up to you that you have too many Pokeballs and not enough battle items. That was something I actually complained about in my last video, but I learned from my mistakes and started hoarding battle items and berries whenever I could. Speaking of items, I found that pickup is an ability that I overlooked. A Pokemon that has pickup will randomly acquire and equip items, regardless of their usefulness. Why does Lillipup need a sharp beak? Who knows, but it found it, so I guess it can keep it. This ability is also really good with Greedent, because Greedent can pick up berries. Combined with its ability Cheek Pouch, you'll end up with some free potions that can be used during battle. It's honestly such a relief, and pokerogue reminds me how lucky I am to be able to heal in normal Pokemon games. Now, to go on a little tangent, I'm a bit sad that some abilities and moves aren't implemented yet. And even worse, you can still select them, even if they're not implemented. If you know which moves aren't implemented, it isn't a problem, but it's not a good look when your Pokemon only learned moves that don't work yet. I'm so sorry, Greedent. I hope that sometime soon Stockpile will make its way into the game, because then a whole new group of Pokemon will be even more relevant, like my chunky monkey Greedent. Anyway, back to the story. I think the most important thing I did was stock up on items. On my longest run, I got really lucky that Stoutland acquired a Lucky Egg. This increased his XP gain by 50%. The Lucky Egg was really a game changer because once Stoutland reached max level for the area, he no longer gained XP. This meant that the XP was then evenly distributed to the other Pokemon on my team. Speaking of balancing XP, I personally avoid the XP balance item. I think it's more important to have a few higher leveled Pokemon than more lower leveled Pokemon. I only started off with 2 Pokemon at the beginning of my playthrough, only adding to my team once I found Pokemon that fit. This meant for a good while, the XP was front-loaded onto Furfrou and Stoutland, increasing their level substantially. As long as there are no serious typing issues, focusing on leveling only a few Pokemon is definitely a smart choice. In addition to the Lucky Egg, I also equipped Stoutland with a Fairy Scarf. This item functions like the Sylph Scarf, except it boosts fairy moves instead of normal type moves. The Fairy Scarf worked really well with Stoutland's Play Rough, which was a move that saved me countless times. Having Stoutland with a Fairy type move meant that I got to avoid the weaknesses that Fairy types have. Play Rough was good for Dark types and Fighting types, as well as the surprising amount of Dark Dragon types. The best part was, minus Fighting types, there were no type disadvantages since Stoutland was a normal type. The next step in my evil plan was stacking whatever EV boosting items I could find, Protein, Iron, and Carbos, on Stoutland. Thankfully, I was able to avoid Pokemon that had Knockoff or Covet, because I could have lost those items. Knowing this game's luck, I definitely would have lost them if given the opportunity. Some of you may say, Skill Canyon, but I'm pretty sure there's a hidden luck value that we can't see. You're telling me that almost every single time I'm paralyzed, I'm unable to move, but the enemy can break free from confusion in just one turn? Think about that for a second. The game definitely tried to stop my reign of terror. It really wants to make sure that you lose. After floor 100, things started to get crazy, and I'm sure it gets even crazier the further you get. Starting on floor 110, the game decided that I was having too much of a good time. It really wanted me to give up. It threw 2 Plasma Grunts at me in a row, and then I had to fight Getsis. That's right, the leader of Team Plasma, but after I diffed him, I thought I was in the clear for the time being. And then the game said, bet. It threw another trainer battle at me. Absolutely wild. But it was just Officer Daniel trying to serve me my warrant. I've been on the run for credit card fraud since floor 80. Thankfully, my good old trusty Stoutland was able to sweep, and I was able to live to see another day. Unfortunately, my downfall was soon to come, as I ran out of money to heal or res my Pokemon, and the game so kindly gave me the choice of 5 Pokeballs, an Ether, an Elixir, or a Leppa Berry. I'd been getting complete garbage since floor 101. I felt like the game just picked stuff out of the garbage and was like, here, take it or leave it. But that's okay, surely it's gonna be a wild Pokemon boss at the end. So naive. Nope. Instead, on floor 140, I was confronted by Lieutenant Surge. I had some missteps in the battle, and if I wasn't opposed to safe scumming, I might have been able to cheese it and got even further. But I think that would have defeated the purpose of this video. I was rightfully defeated, but that's okay. I didn't give up, and I think that's super important. I didn't just take the L on floor 95 when Finn beat me in the last video. I said to myself, nah, this is totally winnable. And sure, I had a ton of losses before I made it to that one good run, but that doesn't mean there was anything wrong with my concept. Like I said last time, I think skill only plays a small part in this game, as luck is a huge factor. I'm not sure I would have been able to get as far as I did had Statland not had the items he did. Sure, I can know it's important to stack items and collect as many as I can, but it doesn't matter if the game just decides to give me absolutely nothing. This may seem like simpleton gameplay to some people, but I'm sure they're gone at this point. I think it's a huge deal that I made it this far, and it definitely makes me think of all the other fun team comps I could do. Maybe I won't make it past floor 140, but at this point, who knows? What I do know is that I'm not going to give up just because it seems impossible, and I'm sure I'll be back with another silly team comp for you to watch, with another breakdown of how I did it. If you made it this far, thank you so much for watching. It would be amazing if you could let me know you made it this far by commenting Fluffy down below. And if you enjoyed my antics, I would be so happy if you could give this video a like and subscribe. I'd love to see you back again next time. Okay, bye!